John asked to see Tony's side or graveyard. What do you think he's looking for in the graveyard? Counter magic? Or?
Yeah, probably just, you know, checking to see what he saw. Like maybe he thinks like the game will be over in a few turns, so he wants to kind of take a mental note of the cards that he saw in Tony's deck. Help him sideboard a little. But he's pretty jumpy. You can see him like barely like right off the table.
All right, wow. So he's just going to get in for
7 damage.
Or yeah, 7 damage.
Yeah.
And then plays another Hawk. So the Hawk is a 3/1. Once again, gravitational shift affects both players, which is pretty relevant here. And so John on 6 life, 22 on 18 life. I think John has to just sit back and play D here.
Maybe, I don't know. If he does still have that Amiri Angel, if he has a land, like it's looking very good for him.
Yeah.
It looked like maybe he had his other gravitational shift as well.
Oh my.
Checking out the graveyard again.
I think I see a Mana Link in John's hand when he set that down.
I'm not sure. It's hard to tell.
But yeah, definitely that Amiri Angel. All right, he's gonna go for it. Looks like he's picking up all 3 Hawks. Oh. Yep, serves all 3 Hawks into the red zone.
Does that exist anymore?
It's the blue zone now.
Yeah,
the Star City zone.
Star City zone. We are old.
Yeah, we are so old.
A couple dinosaurs in the booth right now.
I remember when the red zone was new and everyone was all
Oh
excited
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. All right, there comes a Mirror Angel, and that'll break the stalemate, or not the stalemate, but the, I don't know, the aggressive mate. All right, John does not have a land to follow up that Angel with, though. So although John is at half of Tony's life, position certainly favors him right now.
It does, but it's still kind of tough. You know, if he gets that Colonnade in there and has something like another Royal to bounce that Angel. Yeah. But John didn't replay his sword, and you said you thought that he might have a Mana Link or something, so yeah. He probably feels pretty safe.
I mean, a land there would have probably sealed it up for him. Or at least,
yeah, I agree with that.
But the Mana Link will certainly do good work towards that goal. And if you're Tony Chu here, you have to figure out, well, how am I going to win this game? That's a big question. Can I be defensive? Probably not. Not going to be the Mirror Angel going along, so I have to be offensive, but it's not a good time to be going on offense. Okay, Preordain. Ships both of them. Oh. Picks up something foil.
Just looked like another island, I think. It's tough. It's hard to tell. All right, so we're getting that Colonnade in there.
Colonnade activates. Serves with the 1/3 Blade Splicer token and the Colonnade. Mirror Angel chumps the Colonnade. Well, doesn't chump it, trades with it. And
John takes 1 down to 5.
All right. And ships back.
So Tony Chu tapped out. Looks like he's getting hit with a Sword of Feast and Famine this turn.
Certainly not what he wanted, but I think he thought about his options and thought that was probably the best way.
The Colonnade is lethal. John has to block it, so.
Yep. There's the sword.
Looks like John has an O-ring too, so.
You get an O-ring as ungravitational shift if he really needed to. Not that he would want to do that right now, but if there was a situation to do it, that's an interesting interaction.
Yeah, it just seems like he has answers for whatever Tony could have if he has like a Last Ditch Gideon, something like that, you know.
Right, exactly. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's got that Mana Leak too, so. Yeah. All right, 6, that's 8 damage. That'll chop Tony down to 4 life. So now Tony's sitting at 4, John's sitting at 5. And Tony has to discard a card. John will get a second use out of all of his mana. Or rings the token.
The token does not actually go under O-Ring. So.
Huh.
So what does John have? Because he's still dead to the Colonnade.
Yeah. As far as I can see, that Colonnade still has him dead. I'm looking at his deck list.
And Tony tries to go for it. All right, he's got the Dismember.
Going down to 1 life. If he served with the Blade Splicer, would that have been lethal?
No, Gravitational Shift.
Oh, the shifts. Right. Yep. And that's that.
Very tight game
Very tight.
from John.
Yeah, I think he played that really nicely.
Yeah.
And the gravitational shift certainly sped up the pace of the game. It was looking like it was going to be a slow control affair, and then that came down, and suddenly it was almost a race between the two decks.
What happened to Tony's Hawks that game? Kind of weird.
I think John
Where'd they go?
Yeah, just subtly managed to make him throw all of his Hawks away, and then he just had the Hawk advantage. Just looking at sideboards for Tony Chu. Not really a lot in there. Maybe he could bring in Condemn if you really wanted to. Maybe Day is good if you're always going to be on Squadron Hawks. I don't know.
He's got to keep some days in to beat the Mirroring Angels, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Not a lot you want to sideboard out, though.
Yeah, like, Dismember's okay. Again, the Mirroring Angels, and I guess he does have Tectonic Edge, but, like, still Colonnade is kind of an issue. Royals are definitely awesome. Counterspells are still solid. It doesn't look like he wants to change much. And then Sukenik also doesn't have a whole lot. He does have a Divine Offering. And maybe another Dismember if he wants that, but...
Not a lot of options. I mean, I think one of the big questions is do you want to keep Gravitational Shift in? Probably yes, because you can take advantage of it more than your opponent can. Although you don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he can. I would imagine that he would side it out, even though he basically won that game with it.
Right. Don't be results-oriented and all that.
Yeah, of course.
He just also doesn't have very many cards to sideboard out.
Yeah, I mean, like, makes your Mirroring Angels a lot better. It makes your Hawks better if they don't have Hawks. But in all honesty, if you have those cards and your opponent doesn't, like, you're in pretty good shape. So.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like the Admonition Angel here? Seems like
in the
a big breaker, right?
Oh, yeah. That's like the biggest, sweetest Mirroring Angel.
Right. It'll just demolish your opponent's swords, their planeswalkers. It's a 6/6, right? Can't even be Dismember?
Yeah.
That is a big creature. Well, I think a lot of players would have opted for Consecrated Sphinx there, so I think it's interesting that John went for the
probably.
Angel. Huh. Yeah, other than that, I think the only card you can really cut is Gravitational Shift. So if he wants to bring that Dismember and Divine Offering, that's how he would do it.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, John could cut Dismember if he has kind of a heads up on Tony's list, but most players play Hero Bladehold, so he probably has to keep those in, and he probably wants to bring in his other one too, and his Divine Offering. So like maybe he just brings in those for the shifts.
Yeah, and even if they don't have Hero, I think it's likely they have a Mirror Angel instead.
Yeah.
So either way.
But Tony's just Creature Light. Didn't feel like he needed it. So.
Yeah, only Hawks and Blade Slicers or Blade Splicer. That's really cutting it close. What is so by cutting creatures, Tony's playing more Day of Judgments? Is that it, and more counter magic?
Well, he has
or same amount of counter magic.
He has an extra Jace, an extra Dismember, and extra Into the Royal. But like the Dismember and Royal in Jonathan's list are just Oblivion Rings, so
right.
that's kind of a wash. And he has an extra sword on him. Yeah, I mean these lists are just incredibly similar.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, one of them opted for the Gravitational Shift plan, but other than that, I think they're going to play out the same a lot of the time. It's interesting to see see this deck perform without Mystic, because so often games were decided on the back of Mystic that it's cool almost to see the games play out in the way that you have when Mystic doesn't hit the battlefield, right?
Well, that was kind of the fun thing with the Callblade Mirror, was when it got into like the Hawk and Sword and like Planeswalker battles, and that's basically what the game ends up devolving into like every single time, because you don't have Mystic advantage.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I felt like Batterskull really ruined the matchup for me after Batterskull came out. Like it was you always went for Mystic for Batterskull.
Everyone's at 50 life at all times.
You have to like Nexus them out. It was just the worst. But before that, you could do a lot of really intricate things. So it's kind of cool to see that play out again. Even if there isn't Jace to back it up or anything insane like that. I also think if you can find a way to protect Jace Balern in this matchup, I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. It's not going to be easy.
Well, for Tony, it's probably going to be Day of Judgment.
Yeah. John is the full 4 Nexus, right? Yeah, he's got the full 4 Nexus.
Yeah, it's tough with all those man lands, too. I mean,
yeah. Although against blue-black, they're quite the breaker, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Still solid. Would you play a deck like this looking forward, or...
I was considering it. This is one of the few decks. I don't know if I was going to play a Pascal's deck. I probably would have played more like Blade Splicers and Heroes, just like more creatures.
Okay.
Play more like a fish deck, basically.
Yeah, yeah. What was your top list for this event? You had like Ascension in this deck. Any other decks like there at the top you were considering?
No, I mean I wanted to not mess around. Basically, didn't really want to brew too hard. So it was just like Valakut, Splinter Twin, and this blue-white deck. But
fair enough.
Didn't really want to play a blue-black control deck or anything.
So,
looks like Tony Chu's getting the game started with Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, that's a good way to get the game started for him.
Possibly the most important card in the matchup.
I would agree with that entirely. So Tony finds 2 more Hawks. And he's going to pass back to John. Now let's see if John has Hawks of his own. If he doesn't, he could fall behind pretty quickly.
Yeah.
No Hawks. John just passed it back. 20 cracks in for 1. Trying to get a glimpse of what's in John's hand. I see Spell Pierce. I think maybe a Mirror Angel.
Mirror Angel. It looks like a Gravitational Shift as well.
Might have left those guys in.
He did play an Arid Mesa, though, so it looks like he's light on lands.
I'd imagine if he has a Mirror Angel or 2 in his hand, what he probably saw was like, oh, this card's probably good in the matchup. So, I mean, having them is good, but we'll see how it plays out. If you're land light, it's always a problem non-put with a Mirror Angel.
Oh, John drew another Mirror Angel when he needed a land.
Just had to ship.
Showing a lot of weakness by playing that Mesa as his 3rd land and then like leaking Squadron Hawk, sad times. He has to leak another Hawk.
Alright, so if there was 2 Manlinks away on Hawks, that'll allow Tony's larger spells later in the game to resolve without much resistance.
John has to, if he just waits around until he has his 4th land for a Mirror Angel and just gets it mana leaked or dismembered or something, he's so far behind.
10 life points in the hole at that point or whatever.
He just has to hope that Tony doesn't have a bunch of Gideons or whatever that he's trying to mana leak. So.
Yeah. Okay, so John finds his 5th land, plays a Nexus, but chooses not to play anything. Doesn't want to run to a mana leak like you were saying.
Yep, still sitting on his Spell Pierce, I think.
Tony's been playing this game pretty conservatively, so I think it's a fair read to think that he's got some kind of counter magic in his hands.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, he played a Hawk on 2, but not on 3.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Blade Splicer resolves for Tony Chu. So John just draws. I think I see a Dismember in his hands.
Yep.
Now, if he's got a Spell Pierce, you can maybe resolve that a Mirror Angel, but nope, I guess not.
Yeah, that's what he's going for.
So he must have Mana Leak and not Spell Pierce if he did it that way. Because otherwise he would have definitely saved the land for afterward.
Well, he still has a fetch land, because he would have to crack the fetch first, because it's an Arid Mesa.
Right. Alright, so yeah.
And I'd probably crack that fetch on my turn. Don't get dismembered or something. So you certainly want to block. Yeah.
Alright, it's a Hawk.
And they both have Pokemon tokens?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Children.
Yeah. A children's card game, perhaps. Yeah. It's almost like they coordinated this. And Dismember. Alright, so the Blade Splicer token Golem goes down. Board is now a Mirror Angel plus a 1/1 versus 1/1 Blade Splicer and 1/1 Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, the tables have kind of turned here, you know?
Oh, well. Dismember on the Mirror Angel.
And they turn back. The swings, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, without that Mirror Angel, I think pretty close to parity. That's going to trade there. Tony still has his Hawks that we can deploy. Or he only has one Hawk left, right? Make two of them more mana leaks.
No, because he searched up 2, and those 2 got mana leaks.
Oh,
so he's out. He has a dry Hawk left in his deck.
Oh, man. John's sitting at 9 life, but with some time to recover. He also has a Colonnade in play, which is Tony's Colonnade. He's got to keep an eye on that. It's an Air Mesa. Mirror Angel number 2.
Plays the Mesa first to play around mana leak.
Doesn't want to get too greedy.
Yep, which Tony actually has, so. And a Day of Judgment.
Attention players, if you signed up for $10 booster draft number 11, please come to the main event.
So we left in at least one day. Probably 2 days, I'd imagine.
Please come to the main event stage. Your event is ready.
Right. So Tony goes for Into the Royal with Kicker, and John cracks a special on end response. And if you're Tony Chu, what do you think you're looking for at this point? A Planeswalker, like a Gideon or something?
Sword would be kind of good.
Sword would be good too, sure. Some way to get that Blade Splicer through.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a bunch of man lands and doesn't know that Sukenik doesn't have Tech Edge in his deck. So
if he could also just play a land and then serve with Colonnade. Nope, doesn't have a land, it looks like. Alright, so John trades up his Angel token, or Bird token, with the 1/1 Blade Splicer. Preordained from Tony Chu. So he puts Inkmoth Nexus on the bottom. I didn't see the card that he kept. Plains. Alright, so he can activate the Colonnade next turn if he wants to. Something Jonathan Sukenik, I'm sure, is all very aware of.
Mirror Angel coming back down, looks like.
If you just watch his vigor when he plays, he's just so excited to cast that guy. Alright. So bounces back to Mirror Angel with it into the Royal, gets a Bird token, recast a Mirror Angel.
Yeah, that was weird timing from Tony.
Yeah, I thought he should have end stepped into the Royal, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Got a little too excited there. Dismembers the Angel.
No, maybe that was good.
Maybe that's a trap he was just setting for him. Although,
Gideon too.
I was gonna say you could have Dayed there, but with a Gideon, that seems way better.
Yeah, you get to play 2 spells that turn, still save the day for. He's probably gonna have to overcommit to try and kill that Gideon. So.
Right, and then you just Day and the game is oh, Gideon trades up. Really interesting. All right. And John probably leaves the token back.
Uh-oh.
Some kind of ruling. I think, is that a card that slid off of Tony's deck? Looks like there's a second stack there. Yeah.
When he put his Gideon in the graveyard, probably.
And now they're asking, what parts of his deck does he know? Didn't he know his bottom card?
He did. He knew it was a Nexus from Preordained.
Yeah.
So that should stay there, probably.
That should stay there. But the judge is having them shuffle, and it sounded like he pointed to Preordained, so he knew what happened. Very strange there.
The judge is having none of it.
Alright, puts down the Glacial Fortress, serves with the Colonnade, blocks with Inkmoth Nexus.
Manland battle.
Colonnade down to a 3/3, which is pretty relevant with...
considering he has his own Colonnade?
Yeah, has his own Colonnade, and with John at 8 life, too.
Yeah.
It's 3 swings instead of just 2. Can you make out that last card in John's hand? I couldn't quite do it.
I think it's a gravitational shift still.
Okay. swing by John Sukenik of Colonnade plus bird token drops Tony down to 12 life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that shift is worth it.
All right, Tony activates his own Colonnade, serves in for 3, drops John to 5. And Tony leaves up his own Inkmoth Nexus to block and shrink John's Colonnade if he chooses to attack. So, although John has got another Colonnade hiding back there. But, all right. And John plays another Nexus of his own. Oh, Tech Edge.
That's big for Tony Chu.
That is a big, big play. Pretty sure that's part of what John was worried about. So now Colonnade goes up to 2 counters, but Tony has the ability to Tech Edge whatever manland John chooses to use next.
It's kind of crazy how these games drag on.
Yeah.
With no real card drawing. It's
yeah, without Jace the Mind Sculptor, there's like... Or they haven't drawn Jace Balerion yet, I guess, either.
Right.
But I almost like to think like Jace's Ingenuity might be kind of sick going along, something like that. But I guess Spell Pierce and Mana Link running around is probably not that safe.
Those graveyards don't quite have 20 cards in them, so Visions...
only if you're playing 5-cost Jace, then we can make it work.
Yeah.
That card is so promising. I gotta find a way to make it work, though.
Visions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Innistrad, maybe. So.
It looks like Tony put both cards on top for his preordained, so he didn't know the bottom. I thought he shipped that Nexus, but
I'm almost positive he put a Nexus on the bottom of his deck.
But that's what the judge said. So.
Let's see. Looks like John is activating his 4/4 Colonnade, serves. Inkmoth Nexus quickly blocks that Colonnade. Yeah, now it's just like this weird game of Manland Wars. No one has any card advantage, so it's all about...
That's all that's been happening for like the last 5 turns.
Attack with Colonnade, block with Inkmoth Nexus.
3 life and 4 life. They're just scrapping.
3 life and 3 life even now.
Oh, okay.
Man, it's crazy. Yeah.
John's lone bird token is doing a lot of work.
Yeah. The legacy of that Amir Angel is being put to good use. Now I think Tony couldn't attack that turn. Now I think John gains the upper hand.
Yeah, he's got the mana advantage and everything. So.
Yeah, and his Colonnade is bigger. I think we might have John crown the champion on the next game, or the next turn.
Kind of a crazy game where John missed that land drop.
Yeah, missed 2
land drops.
But
but then Tony missed like his 6th and 7th land drop, so then he was behind.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Tony could have been more aggressive with the Squadron Hawks early on. Like that could have made all the difference.
Yeah, especially because he ended up being... He like ran out, because if he would have played like Hawk on turn 3, I'm not sure why he wanted to keep Mana Leak going for Jace Bellerin maybe, but you have Hawks to attack it.
Yeah.
So
I think
but then he would have been able to get the 4th Hawk, and then if his next Hawks get leaked, he still has an extra Hawk, so that might have been 3 damage right there, and that might have been the game.
So Tony found a Tectonic Edge to battle John's Colonnade with.
Looks like Sukenik drew a Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment? Okay.
Which makes sense. Could be scared of heroes and whatnot.
Gravitational Shift number 2. So that Inkmoth Nexus is 5. Take 5 poison.
That's half. All right.
So now Tony needs like another Tectonic Edge, or maybe his 4th Squadron Hawk. Oh man. Yeah. I think if Tony had played that Hawk on turn 3, he might have been able to win this one.
It looked like he was really far ahead too, but then, like you said, he played really conservatively. And I don't even think it was necessarily the wrong play either. You know, like he had plenty of lands. He waited until he could Hawk on 4 and still have Leak open.
He noticed his opponent missed a land drop, right? So he was playing safely.
Exactly.
But
But maybe you just like go for his throat there at that point, you know? Like blood in the water.
That's how I play a lot of the time, but it's often not right to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So.
it depends. Well, people so often want to just get the cheap win, you know?
Right,
Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
want to just like shatter your mirror, have you be dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Stone Rain's sweet,
Yeah.
right?
Like he could just be mana screwed, and then they don't have to play a game like this. Like this game is miserable, you know, doing nothing except activating mana lands over and over.
So Colonnade off the top, but I think that's one turn too slow for Tony Chu.
Yeah, I think both of Jonathan's mana lands are lethal, so
Yep, serves with both of them.
Yep.
That's
handful
it.
of counterspells.
3 mana leaks, 2 spell pierce. Man. Oh, John, ball of excitement as always.
Doing a little dance, you know.
So
Just loving it.
yeah. Oh, great kid, great kid. So one more win, he should be locking for the top 8 of this event, right? 10 rounds.
Is
so.
he 6-1 right now?
Oh, I thought he was undefeated. Maybe not, but
Tony had a loss.
Tony had a loss. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
they're probably both 6-1.
I sat next to Tony when I was 2-1. So.
Okay, it's probably both 6-1. And wow, cool match. So I'm Gavin Bray with Jerry Thompson. We just saw 2 blue-white decks battled out.
Cobblade Mirror.
Cobblade
I thought
Mirror.
that got banned. What's going on?
Just like the good old days, I suppose. So what do you think about these decks? So you played a lot of Cobblade. You've obviously had a lot of experience brewing Cobblade. I know you've tried different things. What do you think the right version of a deck like this is, or how would you fix them or change them around? What do you like, not like?
I'm not sure. Like these decks are very similar. You know, it's like Dismember, Into the Royal, lots of counter spells, not very many creatures, and that's one way to do it. And I think the Hero Blade Holds might give you a better edge against like Valakut and maybe even the Mirror Match actually, but. I don't know, it's tough to say. Like, there's so many decks out there right now. You don't know exactly what's out there.
Right.
And what do you do at that point? Do you try and play, like, a more controlling deck or a more aggressive deck to capitalize on that? So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I like the Mirror Angel plan a lot. I feel like the Angels